Hey everyone, welcome to day one of watching me learn Spanish. I meant for this to be a live stream, but I didn't realize that Google required you to verify your channel 24 hours in advance. So I'm recording this, but hopefully tomorrow we're live streaming. Let me just give you a quick introduction to how I set this up. On the right side, I have an agenda of what I want to go through today. I want to do 3 lessons of language transfer, which are these audio tapes here on the left. And then I want to make 1 minute videos on why I'm learning Spanish. So I wrote down a little script on why I'm learning Spanish here in English, and I'm going to translate that to Spanish. First, I'm going to record myself struggling to say it in Spanish, even though I'm going to get practically nowhere. I'm going to say whatever I don't know in English. I'm going to watch that video, and then I'm going to use DeepL Translate, which is like a Google Translate type program, but supposedly better. I'm going to use that and try to figure out what I want to say in Spanish. And then I'm going to record myself saying the video again and repeating the process until this video that I'm making is kind of fluent. I described the method that I'm using in the introductory video to this channel, so check it out if you want to learn more. But essentially, it's the method that Language Lord uses on his channel, and I'll link to that below. I think it's a really cool method. I'm starting on easy mode. He starts like really hardcore with 5 minute videos, but I really don't know how to say any of the words that I'm about to say in this little paragraph here. So I think starting with 1 minute videos is a lot more achievable until maybe next week when I have a better base of vocabulary. All right, so now I'm not going to be lecturing or anything. I'll briefly describe things here and there, but this is really about watching me struggle learning Spanish from scratch. And the first thing we're going to be doing is going through these language transfer tracks, and I think that it's going to be tough. You're going to hear everything I'm saying, and I think you're going to hear the language transfer videos too. So here we go.
Hello and welcome to Complete Spanish. We're really excited about this new material, Language Transfer's first complete course, which is all you need to become a master self-directed language learner and steer yourself to fluency through practice of and exposure to Spanish, enjoying the fascinating journey of delving into language. Right after the first hour, you will be and feel like a Spanish speaker. With the thinking method, we are not just interested in teaching you Spanish in record time, but also about exploring the thinking processes, abilities, and habits which make us effective and confident language learners, in control of our own learning process. This will give you a more intimate relationship with your new language and the greater ability to express yourself through the mechanisms that language offers. We will reconstruct the language together in a way that will give you all of the know-how to overcome your technical difficulties in that language so that you can concentrate on achieving and enjoying a freedom in your new language. The course has been recorded with a volunteer student and is a genuine real-life learning experience. The volunteer student does not have a script and she's not acting. Recording in this way has allowed us to capture the essence of the learning experience with the thinking method. During the length of the course, I will be asking the volunteer student to perform various mental exercises resulting in the construction of sentences. When I do so, you will pause the audio and complete the task yourself, and then continue listening to see how our volunteer student answered. It is important to understand that these are exercises and not tests. Do not rush to answer. Take your time to think through your answer at your own pace, building it up piece by piece with the instructions you receive during the audio, which are as much about the language as they are about the mental processes. It is very important that you don't try to memorize anything. Memorization is an extremely distracting process, and I need you 100% here with us. If you need help getting over any anxiety about forgetting or the possibility of forgetting, then just remind yourself that you can always repeat the course at the end. So relax. It's also important that you don't write anything down. You will carry around your new language in your head, not in a notebook. Some of the content you may forget, and that's okay. That's
Gotta
part
put
of the
down my
design.
notebook.
Don't worry about that and just concentrate on understanding, not memorizing, the explanations and building the sentences we give you. Find the time and place to do the audios where you are calm, undisturbed, and can concentrate solely on your language learning experience. Using headphones should help you to tune out from the outside world and concentrate on this experience. Try to be well rested when you do the courses. The tired mind makes all kinds of unproductive shortcuts and careless mistakes. It is of the utmost importance that you don't just listen to the audios, even if you're listening and understanding the process, but that you pause every time I ask our volunteer student a question and work it out for yourself before hearing her response. Otherwise, you will not have your own language learning experience, you will just be witnessing somebody else's. If you do not pause and work out the answer for yourself before continuing, you will finish knowing a lot about Spanish, but not speaking Spanish. Sometimes our student takes 1 second to reply, sometimes 30 seconds or more. What we've done in the editing process is to leave a short pause for you to hit the pause button and then embark on your own mental journey, before replying out loud and continuing with us. The more energy you have, the more information you will naturally assimilate. If you find yourself tuning out during the explanations due to tiredness, then take a break and go back to it later. It's better to do little often than a lot all at once. So 20 minutes a day you will find much more effective than a few hours crammed in over the weekend. But of course, you will find your own balance with other commitments and how quickly you wish to learn Spanish. If it's been a while since you've had to concentrate, then don't worry. You will notice your concentration span increase very rapidly. And remember, think slowly to learn quickly. This isn't at school where we expect your hand to go up straight away with the correct answer through memorization. This is a different process where you are expected to take the time to think your answer through and to appreciate and understand that it's those very processes of taking that time and thinking those answers through which makes us assimilate this new knowledge. You don't even have to worry about memorizing this advice because it will be revisited many times during the course. Not only are all the courses at Language Transfer available for free download, but we are also an unfunded and independent project. This allows us to create the best courses we can create without external monetary or publicity pressures. Now, to maintain this freedom and to continue with the many plans we have in the pipeline for more audio courses and also textbooks, we really do need help with donations. So if you love the course and are in a position to donate, then please do. Many thanks for joining us, and let's begin.
All right, that was a good introduction.
English.
So now I guess we're going to get right into the first lesson, which should require me to speak a bit, if I understood correctly.
And Spanish are two related languages. English is considered a Germanic language, but it's kind of half Latin. We have a huge amount of Latin vocabulary in English. And this Latin vocabulary, we can convert it over to Spanish really easily because Spanish is practically modern Latin. Whoever said Latin is a dead language lied. Just in the same way that Greek is a modern version of ancient Greek, Spanish is like a modern version of Latin. It's actually a street Latin that became Spanish. So we can identify Latin words in English and we can, with just some rule or other, convert them over to Spanish, and this will give us around 3,000 words. I didn't count them, but they are around 3,000 words. So, for example, one of these rules is that words ending in AL tend to come from Latin, so we can make them Spanish. So to give you an example, normal in Spanish is normal.
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 Normal. Good. What do you notice different between normal and normal?
With the accent.
The stress at the end. Normal.
What do you mean by the accent?
Where the sound is stressed,
Good.
which vowel it's stressed,
Where's it stressed in English?
on the O.
Good, at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Normal, normal. And in Spanish, we're stressing the end, right?
Yeah.
Normal, normal.
Yeah. Normal.
So if we assume the same happens
Normal.
with other words, how do you think you would say metal?
Metal.
Metal.
Metal. To get a perfect accent in Spanish, we just need to pronounce all of the vowels exactly as they are written. So A, E, I, O, U. In Spanish is A, E, I, O, U. Where in English, the vowel, it can have many different sounds. Like if you look at the A sound in apple or in mare, it's very different sound. But A in Spanish is always going to be A. E is always going to be E. So if we pronounce the vowels as they're written, not these kind of, these English vowels that we get, then we get a perfect Spanish accent.
Normal. Metal.
Perfect. So we can begin
Normal. Metal.
to make sentences with this already. The word for is in Spanish is es. E-S.
S.
S.
S. And this also means it is, she is, he is, or even you are talking to somebody formally. So now we can say, he is normal, she is normal.
Es normal. Es normal.
Es normal.
Yeah, es normal. And you pronounced an S, which is excellent. English speakers should beware that maybe they feel themselves pronouncing a Z, because many times we have an S in English, like in the word is, and we pronounce a Z. So you might find slipping out es, but this is incorrect. You should be careful to pronounce an S. Es. Es normal. Good. How would you say legal? Legal.
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 Yeah, legal. So how would you say it is legal?
Es legal.
Es legal.
Es legal.
Es legal.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Illegal. Good. So here in English, like we have an I and an E producing the same sound. Illegal. The I and the E is producing the same sound. So this is really confusing if you want to learn English. But in Spanish, you're not going to have these problems. The I is like in ink, and the E is like in elephant. Illegal. Natural. Very good. Illegal. The I and the E is producing the same sound. So this is really confusing. The I is like in ink, and the E is like in elephant.
Legal.
Illegal.
Illegal.
So it is illegal.
Es
Es
illegal.
ilegal.
Good. Es illegal.
Es illegal.
What if you wanted to say he is liberal? You don't need the word for he. If you know who you're talking about, you can
Es liberal.
just use es.
Es liberal.
Yeah. Es liberal. Now,
Es liberal. Liberal.
Spanish is much more phonetic than English. What that means is that the letters are going to represent the same sound, where English has a million rules and a million exceptions to those rules. And I mean, it's really hard even for native English speakers often to understand how to pronounce a new word when they see it written. But you're not going to have that problem in Spanish. So you know natural, and you don't just want to change the accent and say natural. This is not Spanish. You want to think how is it written and pronounce the letters as they are. So how do you think you would say
Natural.
natural in Spanish?
Natural.
Natural. Good, that's a T.
Natural.
So you pronounce a T. A is like A, U is like U. Natural. Very good. And the accent on the end as well. It's natural.
Es natural.
Es natural.
Es natural. If you want to say it isn't, or it's not, the word for not, or don't, is the same as the word for no. And the word for no in Spanish is the same as the word for no in English. But you pronounce it like it's Spanish. So how do you think you say no in Spanish?
No.
No.
No. Good.
No.
And you put this before is, if you want to say it is not, he is not, she is not, you formal are not. So how would that sound? It is not.
No es.
No es.
No es. Good. So now we can say things like, it's not normal.
No es normal.
No es normal.
No es normal.
No es
How would you
normal.
say ideal? So really think about how it's spelled and try and
Ideal, 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 ideal,
pronounce each of those vowels as they are written. I like ink,
ideal.
E like elephant, A like apple.
Ideal.
Good. Ideal.
Ideal.
How would you say it's ideal?
Es ideal.
Es ideal.
Es ideal. It's
Es
not ideal.
ideal. No es
No
ideal.
es ideal.
Good. No es ideal.
No
Perfect.
es ideal.
How would you say fatal?
Fatal.
Natal. Good. Natal.
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 Natal. Good. Colonial.
Colonial. Colonial.
Colonial.
Colonial.
Colonial.
Cultural.
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 So think about how it's written.
Cultural.
Cultural.
Yes. And perfect Spanish accent, huh? Cultural. Very nice.
Cultural.
Annual.
Anual. Anual. Anual.
Anual.
Annual. And you cut this Y sound that comes in English. Annual. Annual. This Y sound comes from nowhere in English and you cut it out because you focused on how it's written. Annual. Very nice. Dental.
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 Tooth in Spanish is diente. So this is coming from dental. So if you look up tooth in the dictionary and you find diente, rather than treating it as like a random piece of vocabulary that you have to memorize, you can relate it back to dental. Ah, okay, like dental, it comes from there. And this is useful for memory. A couple more. Festival.
Festival. Festival.
Festival.
Personal.
Personal. Personal.
Personal.
Personal. Good.
Personal.
Total.
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 Total. Good. Verbal.
Verbal. Verbal.
Verbal.
Verbal.
Verbal.
So if we wanted to say verb, we might not have a rule to convert that word over. But if we know verbal is verbal, we can guess that verb is probably going to be the same in Spanish. And most of the time, words are either the same that we don't have a rule. Maybe we need to stick an O or an E or an A on the end, so we can make a guess. How do you think you say verb in Spanish?
Verbo.
Verbo.
Yeah, that's right. So with structure, with the building, when we're going to be making sentences with these words, we don't ever want to guess. We want to take our time and think it through. But with vocabulary, we can happily guess and try. Imagine we said verba, for example, and they would look at us funny and they would go, ah, verbo. And when that person says, ah, verbo, then we learn, oh, okay, this is the right word. And it's the best way to learn quickly.
All right, one down. That was pretty good. Getting some English, Spanish cognates down. This method is a lot like Michel Thomas. I used that a little bit for French and it was really helpful. I think that this provides a lot more material than Michel Thomas. But yeah, so far so good. So let's continue to lesson 3 or track 3.
So what was is or he is, she is, it is?
S.
Es.
S. Good. We can use this with some other convertible words as well to make sentences. Another rule for these convertible words is that words in English that end A-N-T or E-N-T, most of them we can just stick an E on the end and they become Spanish. So for example, important becomes
Importante.
importante. Importante. Where is the stress there?
In the second last.
Good.
Importante.
The stress is as much part of the word as the sounds, which is why we want to get into the habit of just processing where is the accent, not trying to memorize it, just looking where it is, not trying to memorize it, just observing it. So, how would you say it is important?
Es importante.
Es importante.
Es importante.
Es
It's not
importante.
important.
No es importante.
No es importante.
No es importante. How would you say different?
Diferente. Diferente.
Diferente.
Diferente. It's not
Diferente.
different.
No es
No
diferente.
es diferente.
Good. No es diferente.
No es diferente.
How would you say constant? Constant.
Constante.
Yeah. Constante. How would you say it is constant?
Es constante.
Es constante.
Es constante. If you add on mente, this sound, you get li in English. If you want to say constantly, you can say constantemente. And it's one word. Constantemente.
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 Good. So how would you say legally?
Legalmente. Legalmente.
Legalmente.
Perfect. Legalmente. Good.
Let's take this back a bit. All right.
No es diferente.
Good. No es diferente.
No es
How would you
diferente.
say constant? Constant.
Constante.
Constante.
Yeah. Constante. How would you say it is constant?
Es constante.
Es constante.
Es constante. If you add on mente, this sound, you get li in English. If you want to say constantly, you can say constantemente. And it's one word. Constantemente.
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 Good.
Constantemente.
So how would you say legally?
Legalmente. Legalmente.
Legalmente.
Perfect. Legalmente. Good. Illegally?
Ilegalmente.
Illegalmente.
Illegalmente. How do you think you say real in Spanish? Real.
Real. Like Real Madrid.
Real.
Real. Good.
Real.
When we have an R at the beginning, you might hear it like a rolling R. Real. How do you think you would say really?
Realmente.
Realmente.
Realmente. Real
Realmente.
also means royal. Like Real Madrid is not, Real Madrid. It's Royal Madrid. How would you say normally?
Normalmente. Normalmente.
Normalmente.
Good. Normalmente.
Normalmente.
So, what would it mean if I said to you, normalmente es importante? Normalmente
Normalmente es importante. Normally, it's important.
es importante. What does that mean?
Normally, as in usually,
Yeah.
it's important.
Very good. This is true. You actually use normally like usually. Normalmente es importante. Now, if we have a j sound in a convertible word, so we're not working with the letter G, we are working with the sound here. We're thinking about the sound. If we have a j sound in a convertible word, this j is going to become h in Spanish. Now, if you know how to say Argentina, for example, in Spanish, Argentina, if you've heard that anywhere, this is a good hook
Argentina.
to remember this rule. If we have a just sound, it's going to become h as a sound. So this doesn't mean any G. For example, how would you say global?
Global.
Global. Globally.
Globalmente.
Globalmente.
Globalmente. So it's not a G, it's a j sound. General is going to become
General.
General.
very good. General. So we're causing a bit of friction in the
General.
throat. General. Generally.
Generalmente.
Generalmente. Good.
Generalmente. Generalmente.
Original.
Original. Original. Original.
Original.
Original.
Original. Original.
Originally.
Ori-
Origi-
Originalmente. Originalmente.
Finalmente.
Good. Originalmente.
Originalmente.
Digital?
Digital.
Digital.
Digital. Good. Naturally?
Naturalmente.
Naturalmente.
Good. How would you say naturally it's original?
Naturalmente es original.
Naturalmente es original.
Good. So naturalmente, you can also use it a little bit like obviously, something like that. Words ending IBLE or ABLE, we can also convert many of them. We just have to pronounce it syllable by syllable and put the accent second from the end. So possible becomes possible.
Posible.
Posible.
Probable,
Probible. Probable.
Probable.
yeah, probable.
Probable. Probable. Probable.
How do you say probably?
Probab. Probablemente. Probablemente.
Probablemente.
Yeah, probablemente.
Probablemente. Probablemente.
Possibly,
Posiblemente.
Posiblemente.
good. Possibly,
Posiblemente.
it's original.
Posiblemente
Posiblemente es original.
es original.
Good. Posiblemente es original. Flexible,
Flexible. Flexible.
Flexible.
flexible. Good. So you can't do this like if you say doable, for example. You know, it's when the able or able is really part of the word, you will probably be able to do this. Some of these rules are more useful than others. Some of these rules have more exceptions than others. We want to just get in the habit of identifying them and then getting this sense of what words in English are from Latin and which ones we can experiment with converting over to Spanish. Now, this gives us over 3,000 words, and there are enough words to be very conversational. So we want to feel free to experiment with the vocabulary, but at the same time, we don't want to feel restricted by the fact that we might find an exception or we might use one that doesn't work. And feeling comfortable about that possibility of making that error is what really allows you to learn quickly, because with this experimentation, you find very quickly the words that you can use.
Okay, so that's the end of track 3. Learned some more cognates, like how to convert words from able to Spanish, like probable, 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 probable. I think that's right. And now I'm gonna transition to making the 1-minute videos that Language Lord makes on his YouTube channel. So he actually does 5-minute videos, but I don't know enough about Spanish to put in 5 minutes right now on anything. In fact, I know so little that I wrote out what I wanted to say in English first, and I'm just going to record myself doing this, watching it, writing down everything that I struggled with, everything that I said in English, finding the translation, and making the video again, trying to recall what I wrote down. I'm not actually going to look at what I wrote down for the translations. I'm just going to try to recall. And the second time I make the 5-minute video, or in this case, the 1-minute video, I might use different words and I might use more English again, and that's okay. We just keep repeating this over and over the course of the week until it's effortless for me to tell this story. So how should I record myself on a Mac? I think it's, what's it, Photo Booth? Or can you record yourself in Photo Booth? Okay, I think I'm recording myself. Let's test this before I do it. Okay. Okay, I think I'm recording myself. Let's test this. That worked. Let's delete the last one. All right. The picture on Photo Booth looks nice. Okay, so this is gonna be tough. I have DeepL here. I might have to Google some other things to figure out why DeepL is telling me what it's telling me. But let's see. So let's start this. I mean, I'm not even going to record right now because I can't even say I am learning Spanish. So let's get straight into DeepL and see what they're telling me. I'm going to write down what they're telling me, and then I'm going to make the video trying to recall everything. I'm learning Spanish. Estoy aprendiendo español. So I do know a little bit about Spanish, enough to know that this sound is like a N or something. We'll figure out exactly what it is later.
Estoy aprendiendo español.
Estoy aprendiendo español. There are some alternatives here. Aprendo español. Estoy aprendiendo castellano. Oh, I think castellano is like Castilian Spanish. I think that's like Spain. Spanish from Spain. Castellano. Yeah, okay. Castellano is a region of Spain. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Castilian Spanish, which is Spanish from Spain. Peninsular Spanish, the variety of Spanish originally spoken in northern and central Spain. Today, the term is used to refer to Spanish spoken in all of Spain. All right. Well, we're gonna go with Español, and aprendiendo. I can remember that pretty easily because the French word apprendre is similar. So the thing here is, what's the difference between aprendo español and estoy aprendiendo? And I'm guessing that this form is the progressive tense, whereas this is the present, because that's how it works in French too. So this is probably the verb to be, right? Estar. Okay, DeepL is really cool because when you click on a word, they give you the dictionary down here. That's nice. Yeah, estar is to be. And I know in Spanish that there are two forms of the verb to be. I just don't know what both of them are and how to use either of them. But it looks like estar is conjugating to estoy. And then aprendiendo is aprender, which is the infinitive of the verb to learn. So this is the progressive. What I'm wondering here is if in Spanish the progressive is used the same way as in English. English actually uses the progressive a lot, like to describe future, like I am going somewhere tomorrow. But I know in French that it's a bit more limited to like what's happening right now. So let's see, using the progressive tense in Spanish. Okay, yeah, so you need estar and the present participle. Present progressive is roughly equivalent to I am studying. You could also say in Spanish estudio. In Spanish, progressive forms put additional emphasis on the continuing nature of the action, although the distinction isn't readily translatable. Okay, so yeah, just as I thought, the progressive can't be used for the future in Spanish. You wouldn't say estoy aprendiendo español mañana. You'll say maybe aprendo español mañana. Or a future tense of this verb aprender. Okay. So knowing other Romance languages helps a lot when learning another Romance language. I can quickly kind of decipher and make relationships between the languages that I've learned before. And that's obviously helping right now. The thing I'm wondering is, let me finish writing this so first. I'm learning Spanish because I want to spend some time living in Spain. Okay. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. The thing I'm wondering is if estoy aprendiendo español is what a Spaniard would say in this case. Or would they say aprendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España? Or would they say estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España? I'm not sure. But I'm going to go with what DeepL is telling me right now because I have nothing else to lean on, and I'm sure that this is understandable if a Spaniard read it or heard it, and we'll fix it if it's wrong. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo. Porque quiero pasar un tiempo en España. Yeah, so again, making relationships to French, porque, pourquoi. Quiero, unfortunately, I know because of a Taco Bell commercial in the United States. It means I want, I'm guessing, right? Yep, to want. Pasar, to pass some time, pasar un tiempo. viviendo, living in Spain. So is this the progressive again? That would make sense. I want to spend time doing something. So like in English, like after a verb, like wanting to spend time doing something in Spain. So the verb is vivir, and just like French, vivre, I want to spend time living in Spain. Okay. So let me just look at the English and just try to recall what I wrote down. I'm not looking at the Spanish right now. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. All right. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Good. I went to Valencia with my family last year and loved it. Fui a Valencia el año pasado con mi familia y me encantó. Me encantó. Okay, fui a Valencia. So is fui, I went, in one word? Okay, so this is where like making relationships to other languages can break down, because if this is right, it's nothing like in French, because in French you would say something like je suis allé, which would be the verb to be conjugated to me, je suis, I went, I am, and then the past participle of the verb to go, which is aller. Je suis allé. I am to go. That means I went. But here it looks like Spanish is wrapping all of that up into one word. I went. Okay, so it's saying fui is the verb ir, which means to go. Fui al mostrador. I went, yeah, okay. No idea how this is being conjugated to the past. Let's say, can this show me the whole conjugation of ir? Spanish past ir. No. I need to find like one website for all of these grammar questions. If anyone knows a website, let me know. Me gusta ir al mercado. Okay. So the past participle is ido. Then I would imagine that it's like yo estoy ido for I went, but preterit, future imperfect. Fui a la playa. Okay. So I think I need to figure out what the past preterite is in Spanish and like when is that used? Oh, how to master it in minutes. Perfect. Unlikely. We need to clarify exactly when and where you can use the past tense. Completed event or action. Okay. So in this case, I went to Valencia is a completed event. The start or end of a completed action. I started to listen to his discography today. Okay. An action that took place at a specific time or date. Okay. Actions in a sequence. After talking with him, his friends went to his house to say hello, left some food for him. Okay. Well, the case that we need to focus on is the completed event or action. When dealing with regular verbs, there are two sets of preterite endings you must learn. Endings for AR verbs and endings for ER and IR verbs. So if ir is to go is regular, then I mean, let's see if this vivir fui. No, this is so ir must be completely irregular because it would be like iri if it were regular, but it can't be. So the conjugation for the past preterite seems pretty easy. The ER and IR verbs go iste, io, imos, ieron, he, aste, ho, amos, aron. Okay. Yeah, I'm just mapping out the landscape and trying to develop a quick way to identify things. Like even with this me encanto, I guess means I loved it, and that must be in the preterite tense as well. Encantar, which would be an AR verb, and then conjugated with el and ella, I think. So encanto, it, I loved. Okay. Okay, so fui a Valencia el año pasado con mi familia y me encantó. Okay, let's try to write that down without looking. Fui a Valencia el año pasado y me encantó. With an accent on the O. Don't know what that accent is yet, but okay. Fui a Valencia el año pasado con mi familia. con mi familia y me encantó. Okay, so I want to just note that fui is the preterite of ir. And I also want to note estoy aprendiendo is the progressive tense. Okay, so we have estoy aprendiendo and fui. We're getting right into some grammar. Alright, let me try to say the whole thing just looking at the English. I'm learning Spanish because I want to spend some time living in Spain. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Fui a Valencia con mi familia el año pasado y me encantó. Okay. I said fui a Valencia con mi familia el año pasado. I wonder if the order of those two clauses matters. In English, I went to Valencia with my family last year. I went to Valencia last year with my family. I think both work in English, so maybe both will work in Spanish. All right. Next sentence. It was sunny even in January. All right, here we go. This must be the preterite of some verb, like to be, offer, hacer, offer, do, perform, make. Okay, so you probably use the verb to make when you're talking about the weather. And the past of to make, the preterite, must be hacía. Hacía sol. Okay, sol is one that I know because I was recently in Madrid and the center station was called Sol. Hacía sol incluso en enero. Okay, including in January. Hacía sol incluso en enero. But I'm also wondering, the alternative here is hecho sol. What is more correct? Hacía sol or hecho sol? Había hecho versus hacía. Spanish past tenses. So the simple past is I played with my dog. Imperfect. I used to play. I was playing. I have played. Past perfect. I had played. Huh. Is the past perfect the preterite? Simple past Spanish. Spanish preterite or pasado simple. Yo visité a mis abuelos. I think we'll just go with the preterite for now and kind of dive deeper once we get further through language transfer, because I don't have an intuition for this yet. So, hacía sol incluso en el enero. Hacía sol incluso en enero. Okay. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Fui a Valencia con mi familia el año pasado y me encantó. Hacía sol incluso en enero. Okay, we were able to go to the beach, but the water was a bit too cold to swim in. Alright, we were able to. This isn't going to be easy. We were able to go to the beach. Pudimos ir. Okay, so pudimos must be the past preterite of can, like we could, we were able to. Pudimos ir a la playa. Pudimos ir a la playa. Pero, the water was a bit too cold to swim in. The water was a bit to swim in. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Okay, pudimos ir a la playa makes sense to me. With my newfound knowledge of the preterite. I also need to watch a YouTube video or something to learn how to say preterite or something. Is that even an English word, or am I reading a Spanish word there? Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría. Fría must be cold. This must be was. It was. Demasiado is unreasonable or overmuch. Yeah, this is what we want. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría Para. It was a bit too cold. Para. 2, 4. Okay. Para bañarse. To swim. And this is probably a reflexive verb, like oneself swimming. Bañarse, swim. Okay, pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Let's try to write that without looking. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado frío o fría para bañarse. Fría, yeah, okay. El agua. El agua. So agua ends in A. I would have thought it would be la agua, but it's el agua. That means that these nouns aren't always going to follow a simple rule, but all right, we've dealt with that before in French as well. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. All right. Last sentence, and then we're gonna record ourselves. I'd like to go back again this winter. Oh, me gusta is verb that I know, like me gusta something, me gusta means I like. This me gustaría means, I guess, I would like. Volver. Interesting. So they're not using ir to go. Me gustaría ir este invierno. They're using volver. Volver must mean to like, to return to. That's even better, actually. It's more precise. Because to go, have I been there before? Return is more precise because it means I've already been there. So let's volver back. Okay, so me gustaría volver este invierno. Invierno is winter. Okay. Me gustaría volver este invierno. All right. Now I'm gonna record myself going through the whole thing. Let's just close this. I'm gonna be reading the, I'm gonna drink some water. I'm gonna look at the English to prompt myself. Tomorrow when I do this, I'm gonna try to not use the English. Okay. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Fui a Valencia el año pasado con mi familia y me encantó. It was sunny. It was sunny. Something sol, incluso en enero. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Me gustaría volver este invierno. All right, so exactly a minute. That's perfect. The thing that I got tripped up on was it was sunny. And now I'm going to look back and see hacía sol. So hacía, I remember, was the verb to make. I want to write that down. Hacía was like the preterite of hacer, which is to make, like it made sun. It made sunny. Hacía sol. Okay, let's watch it and just see how bad it sounds.
Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Fui a Valencia el año pasado con mi familia y me encantó. It was sunny.
Hacía
It
sol.
was sunny. Something sol, incluso en enero. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Me gustaría volver este invierno.
All right. So I'm going to record myself one more time and see how it goes. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Fui a Valencia con mi familia el año pasado y me encantó. Hacía sol, incluso en enero. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Me gustaría volver este invierno. Oh, I didn't record it. Okay, again. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Fui a Valencia con mi familia el año pasado y me encantó. Hacía sol, incluso en enero. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Me gustaría volver este invierno. Super fast, 37 seconds.
I didn't record it. Okay, again. Estoy aprendiendo español porque quiero pasar un tiempo viviendo en España. Fui a Valencia con mi familia el año pasado y me encantó. Hacía sol, incluso en enero. Pudimos ir a la playa, pero el agua estaba demasiado fría para bañarse. Me gustaría volver este invierno.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up for today. I wonder if Spanish speakers would be able to understand that if they just heard it without knowing what I was about to say. Like, is that understandable? Is my accent clear? Is my pronunciation clear? Um, so far, I think this method is awesome because it's super hard and draining. I'm really tired now. But I really have to focus on output from day one. You can see I'm already putting together a paragraph that would probably take me months of regular school to get into, because you would first learn how all the verbs are conjugated, how the present is conjugated with these ER and IR verbs, and then how the past is conjugated, and then you'll learn some nouns. But straight away, I'm in this building a vocabulary relevant to my life and forcing myself to put together sentences that are kind of out of reach if I didn't have these online resources. But yeah, I think with repetition, it starts to sink in a lot easier, especially the vocabulary. Like now, I have a vocabulary for this trip that I took to Valencia, um, and I think that I could tell someone this story and even expand on it a little bit using some of the words that are already in the story. Like talk a little bit more about the playa, like say la playa um, estaba no me gusta me gustaría ir a la playa. So I just said I would like to go to the beach. That's a sentence that I couldn't put together just an hour ago, but because I pushed through this, I have many words that I could use and many different grammatical structures that I could use. So, yeah, day one. Tomorrow I'm going to do this paragraph again. I think I'm going to make it longer too because I nailed it today and the second attempt came in only at 37 seconds. So I got to make it longer. And we're going to do, how long are these language transfers? So maybe we'll do 3 language transfer lessons tomorrow again. Today was essentially 2 because the first was an introduction, but tomorrow we'll do 2 or 3 depending on how I feel. We'll re-record this video, then we'll expand on it, then we'll keep re-recording it over and over until it sounds better, until I'm using more vocabulary. All right, see you tomorrow.